Welcome today. My name is John Mazzara with Remax Results. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Today is pretty exciting. We're going to talk about something that you might not be aware of that can actually enhance the value of your home, both from a purchase perspective and from a resale. I've got with me a couple of contractors. I've got the owner of a company called Foremost Exteriors and his estimator, Vadim. I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just a second, but I've done work with these folks, both I've helped them with the real estate transactions for themselves and for their families, and they've done work actually on some of my clients' house. So I've seen their work firsthand, and nothing but positive reviews for these guys. So with that, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and we're going to talk to you about roofs today. Artem, Vadim?
All right, I'll start. My name is Artem Guskov, and I'm the owner of Foremost Exteriors. Vadim, me and Rami are kind of the main force behind this team. Started up a few years ago, and we've been doing great. This past year, we've got Forbes rating. We were rated top 10. We're number 4, I think, in the Forbes top roofers in Minneapolis. So that was pretty cool. That's a big milestone. Before that, we got a Reader's Choice, I think for siding or something. I can't remember, but it's been good. So far, it's been good. And yeah, go ahead.
Name's Vadim. Artem already introduced me. I do a lot of estimating, negotiating with the insurances on behalf of the homeowner in order to get them covered exactly for what they're owed for the damages scope of their house after a storm.
Awesome, awesome. Now the name Foremost Exteriors. So exteriors, that means roofs and what else?
Roofs, siding, windows, gutters, that kind of thing. But we also have connections for interior work too. So if there's water leaks and other things going on, if we need to take care of it, we have the people for it as well. Majority
Beautiful. So
because yeah, we like to focus on the roofing mostly.
perfect. But you can coordinate, like if a client, for example, has an ice dam or damage around a skylight or something, and there's money available for the interior, you're able to coordinate both the interior and exterior part of the claim
Definitely.
for them.
Yeah, we're a general contractor, so we can pull permits. Everything is yeah, for interior work, framing, whatever we need to get done, we'll get it done. We had some real difficult projects this past year with basically walls of house had to be taken apart because of mold and carpenter ants, and yeah, handled it just fine.
Beautifully. Okay, well, that's very nice because a lot of people, don't know somebody or they only do one thing and then they can't coordinate the whole project. That's nice to know that if they put it in your hands, you can coordinate the whole project from start to finish,
Yeah,
working through the claim process.
definitely.
Awesome. Well, with regards to roofs, I know Minnesota has been one of the leading states with regards to hail damage the last few years. And with that, I know the insurance companies, kind of from a protective standpoint, have not only increased their premiums to cover the costs of paying out, but now are changing some of the language. And I know clients sometimes will, look at their house and look at their neighbors on the street and they'll see roofs being completed. And then they call up their insurance guy or gal and say, hey, you know what? How come, I see other people getting a roof. Why don't you send somebody over? And then they do. And don't you know if there isn't a claim? And in discussions I've had with people when they've called up a contractor first instead of the insurance adjuster, they've had a much better success ratio of getting a claim because they're able to work directly with between you and the adjuster identifying the damage. And so for anybody watching, uh, is there a charge to, let's say, call you folks up, Artem or Vadim, and have you come over and take a look and see if there is damage? Do you charge for that?
No, no, our inspections or evaluations of the roof condition are free of charge. We would charge for, let's say, commercial property purchase if we have to provide a full report, written report, detailed, multiple pages, photos, drone pictures, and so on. Well, for those, we do charge, but generally the inspections, as you're saying, like storm inspections, those are completely free.
Okay, and also like let's say a buyer had a buyer home inspection, they're going to hire a company to do that. Their inspector might say, well, the roof is old, but they're that the person that does the home inspection isn't a roofing contractor. They're a home inspector, and the licensing requirements of home inspectors is none in the state of Minnesota. So,
Yeah, as we
um,
found out with you. Yeah.
so I'm not saying that home inspectors aren't knowledgeable because some are, and some, of course, aren't. So the best thing, in my opinion, with regards to exterior would be if you're having a home inspection and you're concerned about hail damage or the roof or those things that you don't necessarily rely on your inspector, but you make as part of it that you have a roofing inspector look at it, especially due to all the hail damage. So if somebody was watching this as a buyer and they're like, hey, you know what, I just bought a house and it had that, 50-page report, I paid 500-600 bucks. I am concerned because the seller said the roof's 15 years old on their seller disclosure. Could they call you up and have you come on out and take a look at that roof for them?
Yeah, yeah, we've done a lot of those inspections, confirming or basically giving a second opinion. A lot of the times, the roofs are fine. It's not a big deal. Like the home inspector didn't see anything. We don't see anything either. The roof is in good shape. Shingles are sealed down nicely. There's no broken seals anywhere. The granules are still in good shape. They're not just falling out. Overall, I mean, majority of the roofs that inspectors think are fine. But you also get those. I think this is the one that we consulted with you about. We had the EFA stucco house that had water issues, and then the roof was just destroyed. They told them it's a luxury roof, it's a high-end shingle, it's this designer shingle that's going to last another 20 years. Well, I mean, looking at it, it's may not make it through this winter, and that was super obvious. If the inspector even climbed down there, I'm not sure if he did, but if he did, he would see there were flashing leftover, there were screws all over the place, nails all over the place. A lot of areas were exposed completely. They were just, I mean, just mesh over some of the openings where it was just peeled back again because critters are getting inside. All this stuff would have been noticed if the inspector was on there. But I don't really think he even went on there, but he provided them a report and he gave them, the green light to purchase the house based on that. So I think it's a good idea to have a second opinion, especially if it's not really, costing you anything, just to have somebody out and confirm. For us, we can do like just a written report, or we can do just kind of give you peace of mind if everything's good, or give you some ideas on the maintenance.
Well, that's fantastic. And I think that could be used during the purchase process. If you determine that the roof is bad, the buyer could come back and say something like, well, I'll agree to pay your deductible and, you agree to make the claim, the seller, and we both win. I paid 2,500 bucks instead of 30,000 or 60,000 for the roof. And, the seller has to do the paperwork with you, of course, but, then the buyer will close with a brand new house, a brand new roof. Now, if the seller had done that in advance, meaning had you out before they put the home up for sale, then they might be able to have a new roof and market it as such
Yeah.
and get value for it. So while it's during the inspection process, they might be dinged for having a bad roof and have that as a subtraction. If they do it prior to putting the home up for sale and have your inspection, they're going to get two things. They're either going to get a brand new roof or they're going to get your blessing, of what you see, and they're going to win that way. So there's no harm in having a contractor come out and look and, hopefully make a claim and get a brand new roof because it adds value. But
Yeah,
if you
the
don't
issues
do
that
it,
we actually run into this year were,
no,
the people sell the house, let's say the sellers are, everything passes, the inspection is fine. And then a hail hits, maybe minor hail or something, and the insurance company comes out and they say, well, there were prior claims filed, this is how much we paid. They paid for maybe some metals, they paid for some shingles, and they see that it wasn't done at that time, and maybe the sellers didn't disclose it. I don't know what the process was, but on their side, basically, like you buy a house and the insurance claims were already done. So any way to get a foot in the door with the insurance company and get the approval on the next loss may not be possible. So there's a lot of things where the insurance companies are looking through the clue reports going back years, and they're looking through the payouts and then what was actually covered by a different insurance company even. So they review all that information, and the buyers may be running into trouble of coverage later on down the road if something was paid for but was not completed, even minor repairs. A lot of people, they would get, let's say they would get an insurance check of, I don't know, $1,000 or something, and then the deductible is taken out, so they hardly get anything from it. Or there's depreciation on the back end, and then they're not really seeing the claim through all the way to the end. If they're not doing that, if they're not finalizing all the repairs, or at least like doing their best to get everything completed per insurance company's scope, or get a contractor who will discuss the scope with the adjuster and then kind of see what they can do with it, that then you're just opening it up for interpretation to the next adjuster that comes over from a different insurance company. Or you kind of get in the like, okay, who's going to pay for this insurance company or the last one? And it's a lot more difficult to get the seller involved after the fact of the sale, after the closing. So getting all the parties back in and trying to kind of coordinate everything is going to be a lot more difficult. Yeah.
agreed. I think it should be done proactively by the sellers. Take a look, walk around your house, look at your soft metals, see if you got dings, look up at the
That's a good
caps,
point.
look at your
Absolutely.
gutters. If there's damage, look at the fins on your, on your air conditioner.
Yeah.
If you see all those things that are dented, you had hail damage and, you can make a claim and, these guys here can help you make that claim and work with you. And again, you want to have, when you're fighting the battle with the insurance company, it's kind of like, You may have heard the saying, I'm from the IRS and I'm here to help," right? I'm here from the insurance company. I'm here to pay a claim. I don't think so. I won't name a company that I had many years ago, that I just won't say it. But anyway, I had a company in place on my own home. I'm in my third home in Edina, but on my second home in Edina,
Mhm.
uh, I made a claim for the roof, and their immediate response was no. And then we had to fight it in arbitration or whatever you call it, an a resolution.
Appraisal.
And then they said, yeah, he does get a roof. All my neighbors got roofs. So this unnamed company has done that. I had a duplex and I had made a claim for vandalism, and they didn't want to pay on that either. They're the no pay company. Um, Anyway, so I would highly encourage you to speak to, as a consumer out there watching, take a look at your policy. There are some companies that are notorious for not paying on claims and immediately denying, and that's why you want a friend in your court. You need somebody like Artem and Vadim to, that are trusted, that can represent you at the claim time. If you call the guy that's going to pay the claim first, he's paid by the insurance company, and he's really not there to help you out. He's not a magnanimous man out to spend insurance company dollars. He's there to protect the insurance company. So it's the fox guard in the hen house. So you need to go the other direction. You need to bring in your independent representation. You need to bring in these guys to do that. And so as a seller, do it proactively. Worst case, you're going to get a blessing, and then at that time, when you sell your house in the future, you can come back and say, I've already had the roofer look. There's not enough damage, no claim. If you're a buyer, you have them out, they find, enough to make a claim, then in your negotiation process, you can, during the inspection period, ask for the work to be completed. And, many times you'll have to pay the deductible, but again, that's much cheaper than not having a brand new roof. I mean, I'd trade you 2,500 for 60 grand any day of the week. So
Right.
that's, the way I would do it as a buyer. Again, no harm, no foul. They don't find any damage, then you've got that risk off of your plate. You're covered. The clue report. Oh my gosh. So Artem, I'm going to throw that back to you to tell everybody what a clue report is, and I'm going to come back with my own personal story about that. But for a client down in Savage. But tell us about what a clue report is, and how somebody can or can't get it.
So I'll just brief disclaimer. I'm not an insurance agent, so I don't really want to get too deep into the insurance policy language and so on. But clue reports are basically prior records of claims on properties that were done in the last, let's say, a few years. There's basically records that go back and then specify what was actually paid for, if there was a claim filed on the property, what was covered, what wasn't covered, and kind of a breakdown of prior claims, basically. Some insurance companies, I think we had it with State Farm. They went back to their paper records of 1998 to look up a project that was completed to make sure that she had the siding and the windows and the roof done at that time, which she did. But they would go back to the paper records. They had those still on file. They don't just keep them for 6 years like some of the other ones, but they keep them forever, basically. So they went back that far. They went back that far and they made sure of everything. So that the clue reports are basically now being used more because of all the claims. Like you mentioned, Minnesota is becoming a high risk state, or it's already a high risk state because of all the hail losses, hail and wind storms. And at this point, the adjusters, they're looking through all, like if they were, let's say the homeowner switch insurance companies, they will look back and see what the other insurance company paid for. We've had a few of them where they're just trying to kind of move over and then just say, okay, well, this was supposed to be covered by the previous insurance company. And then we have to go back to the other insurance company and submit the documentation all over again. And it's a lengthy process. If they're seeing that their insured is no longer with them, chances are they're going to be a lot less, willing to cover the loss. So there's a lot of issues that go with that. But yeah, clue reports are basically records of prior claims.
Perfect, thank you. Well, and the clue report, what people need to know too is that your life is not a secret in that sense. So, um, the insurance companies keep a record so that they don't have to pay, twice, three times on the same claim. And a clue report, it allows them to check the history of claims on a property, so that a new insurance company, like let's say you had State Farm and you switched to Farmers and you'd already made a claim for a roof on State Farm, Farmers isn't going to buy that roof again. So
Yep.
you can only make a claim once for that issue. And that's what the clue report does, is it catches the history. Now, we normally, as agents, real estate agents or insurance agents, can't necessarily pull that. It's done by the insurance companies. So it isn't necessarily something you can say, get me a clue report. Well, you're going to have to work with your insurance, your property casualty insurance person. I'll just do a quick segue into life insurance, in the sense that when you get life insurance, One of the things also that they do is they do an MIB, a Medical Information Bureau report, same thing. They have a history of claims that you've made for different things and any meds that you might be taking. So if you say, oh, no, I don't have cancer, and you know you have cancer or you had cancer or whatever, that's going to be discovered through the Medical Information Bureau because it's a history of you, your insurance, and the claims. And sometimes if you get erroneous things reported on your Medical Information Bureau, it can affect you. I've had clients that have had, for example, alcohol. A woman that had a claim previously, her doctor put in she was, basically an alcoholic, and she wasn't. Well, according to her, she's not. But it was in her doctor's report, and we ultimately had to try to have the doctor remove that. But it was very difficult because when you were trying to get life insurance for, it was immediate denial because of what was in her report. We couldn't get it off.
Oh, she
So
couldn't
just
even
like,
get into the policy. She couldn't even.
no, she couldn't get it.
Oh, okay.
Put it this way, she couldn't get it under an underwritten policy. There are policies that are not underwritten per se, where there are some knockout questions, but otherwise it's a guaranteed issue. It's more expensive and it's smaller face amount because there's less research being done. So yeah, we could do something for her. She kind of wanted her cake and eat it too, meaning she wanted to get a guaranteed issue at the best rates, even though we had this issue. Now, we were working through the doctor to get it removed, but um, we, right at the moment, the policy's tabled. Whether or not we'll resurrect it or in the future, I don't know, but I just wanted to, for the consumer out there, let everybody know that there's a Medical Information Bureau, so to speak, on your home called the Clue Report, which means that you're not going to get away with it not acknowledging something. So if you made a claim as a seller on a roof, you took the money and pocketed, and then when we fill out the seller's disclosure statement as a seller, and you say, "Oh no, I never had a roof claim," or I never, never didn't do the work that I was paid for. Well, the new buyer is going to find that out, and that happened to me where I had worked with a buyer buying a home down in Savage, and it was a short sale or foreclosure. I can't remember which one. I think it was a short sale. This was about 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. And what ended up happening is that the insurance company that they used to close issued the policy. Then they went back within 30 days and did the research, and they go, "Oh, no, 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 no. That roof is totaled and we paid on it, or somebody else did. So if you were going to cancel your policy right now, you got like 30 days to put a roof on because that roof has been totaled." So my buyers at that time then had to find the, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it was for a roof way back when, and then had to put the roof on. But I think it was a short sale. We weren't able to go after the sellers because the seller didn't have anything, but basically they had taken the money and ran. So know if you're a seller, you're going to be found out. So that's why I say on the seller's disclosure statement, it's always best to over disclose and tell everything
Give
because
all the information, yeah. A lot
yeah,
of
you're
the
not going
times
to get
we've
away.
run into this a lot actually this past couple of years. I'm not sure if the COVID had some effect on it or what the issue was, but it's happening a lot more. And some people do, they kind of go under the radar. Maybe the adjuster doesn't do their due diligence, doesn't look it up, but a lot of the times they do, and then it gets very problematic. So,
Yep.
not a good idea.
Now, one thing you had mentioned, Artem, was about going back on the old policy, and so some people aren't aware that they can go back. So let's say I had State Farm and switched to Farmers, and it was in the last year. Let's say last May there was hail damage. I could go back under my old policy for 1 year, correct?
So it's gonna come down to the policy language specifically. A lot of insurance companies are limited to 1 year. Some could be limited to secure as well 270 days. It depends on the insurance company, and that's what we kind of stress. You have to look through your policy and make sure that you're within that timeline. The Minnesota statute, I believe it's 2 years. The statute
Okay.
of limitations for finalizing the claim and making sure everything is finished up. But that's like the deadline. You have to finish everything by then. If you're going to take action, legal action, or anything like that, talk to an attorney. We're not attorneys, but generally that's what they say. Any seminars that we've gone to, they usually say 2 years, but now it's becoming a 1 year thing. So the sooner you get this kind of stuff done, the sooner you do the inspection, the sooner you get the claim started. If there is damage, the better. Yeah.
Okay.
But going back on the claim, it depends on the insurance company. We've had with Allstate, we have Egan location that we kind of work mutually with. They send us a lot of their clients, and we work in kind of in tandem on a few things. And the agent is awesome. He just helps out. He goes back and he looks through the prior history. Maybe if anything was not paid for, he that actually takes care of the clients really well. You usually don't see that. So on one of the claims that we had, he actually was able to help us and get that claim covered. So the new insurance company wasn't covering the windows. They said it was paid for on the prior one. He reopened that claim, even though I think it was over 2 years at that point. They still reopened it and they still covered it. So it's really going to come down to, I guess, the insurance company's limitations, and then having a good insurance agent that's willing to go to bat for you as well.
Perfect. So somebody shouldn't say, well, you know what? Yeah, we had hail last May, but I switched companies this fall because it was cheaper to go to ABC company. So I can't make a claim. That's not true. They can go back and make a claim under the old policy.
Yeah.
And you folks would help them. You would help them do that analysis if you found the damage and work with that seller or person, if they're not selling, regardless. You'd help with the homeowner through that process and identifying a claim, correct?
Yeah, John, I just wanted to jump in here for a second
Sure.
while we're talking about claims. One thing that I see most common is that a homeowner files a claim, they have the adjuster come out and they're like, oh, well, your house, even though you had this and this hail, here's about a few metals that are damaged. We'll give you like a little pocket change, $1,000 to $2,000 that you would be happy with. And the homeowner usually says, oh, okay, yeah, that's some extra cash I can spend. The thing with this, almost 99+% that if we come out after that, we can most likely get something completely replaced instead of few metals being charged. And the homeowners do not know that. There's so much the contractor can do for the homeowner on the back end after reviewing the scope of the damage, even that the homeowner can't do. The contractor can have lab results for their materials, whether it's shingles, unless it's like 2 to 3 year old shingles, we can get a full replacement if there's only just a few shingles being covered, just because we can find the information, this shingle or this siding is discontinued, and we can have the insurance open the claim back up from the homeowner and completely replace their exterior. This year, we've actually had one of the customers we got, and they're like, oh no, I don't need this to be looked at again. The adjuster came out 2 times. The homeowner wasn't even agreeing with it, but 2 times he got denied completely, even got an argument with an adjuster. I'm like, okay, let me take a look at it. So all said and done, the adjuster came out with me out there. We looked at the house. The homeowner got brand new roof, brand new steel siding, 12 sashes of windows, new gutters, downspouts, and repaint and restain all the deck, which was the full length of the back of the house. This is all from 2 denied claims already without a contractor.
Wow.
So that's something that people need to watch out. If they don't have somebody on their side, like a contractor, I wouldn't even know that could be happening. But the homeowner was just pinching himself nonstop, saying like, my house went to completely brand new exterior from 2 denied claims of saying that there's no damage. So that is something a homeowner needs to be aware of, that a contractor is really on their side. We would never try to say, hey, insurance, you're right, there is absolutely no damage on this homeowner's property. Go ahead and keep all that money that you owe them. So
Nicely done. Well, congrats on that. That sounds like, you went to bat for them and you had success. That's wonderful.
it's very common. It's actually in the 90+% that if there's not a full replacement of something, that if a contractor's there, we can help the homeowner out, unless they have a brand new house, brand new roof, and super solid everything.
Yeah, this is obviously on the claims that do
Yeah.
have obvious damage, legitimate damage. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if damage is there, they got to pay, even though they don't want to. They got to pay.
Yeah, there's coverage issues, and that's another thing we have to mention is the insurance company policies are changing now. And I think I think one of the emails I received from you was the insurance updates, I think from your insurance agent, and he was sharing the feedback, basically this upcoming year, the changes that are coming. And we're seeing this a lot. There's Minnesota is, or I guess there's a precedent for matching. So if let's say the product is no longer available, insurance companies generally do offer to match the entire roof or replace the entire roof to have a uniform appearance. That's becoming either limited or that's going away. Deductibles are increasing quite a bit. Those are becoming a percentage of the mortgage or a percentage of the home value, or they're just really high dollar amounts. It could be $5,000-$10,000. We've even seen higher than that, 20. There's ACV coverages only. Like a lot of the times, our clients find out after, let's say,
Artem, let me
Yeah.
interrupt you. Can you tell the audience what an ACV versus RCV is so they understand the difference and what's in their policy and
Yeah,
why they?
ACV would be just the actual cash value policy, so something that pays for, it doesn't account for the depreciation. So whatever the life the roof has served, it doesn't account for that. That would basically be, like if the roof is, let's say, 30-year roof and it served 15 years already, they would only pay for the remaining 15 years. They wouldn't cover that, the life that it served already. Replacement cost would basically cover a full replacement of that roof basically for the full 30 years. So you would basically get a brand new roof, covered completely. So depreciation is a big thing, and a lot of the times that not having recoverable depreciation in the policy or having limitations or a scheduled payment, it really becomes an issue because you're expecting the final total. Let's say like we discuss the claim numbers with the adjuster, we agree on everything, and then at the end of the day, the homeowner gets stuck with the bill from basically from us. This is what we agreed on. This is your bill. This is the invoice. The insurance company paid whatever they were supposed to pay, but there's still depreciation of let's say like 10,000 left over. And the homeowner is like, well, the insurance company said they covered it. Why would I pay this? And it becomes this kind of a back and forth with the homeowner. It's like, well, yeah, you signed for this. This is the paperwork that came to you. You have to review this. And a lot of the time, this is a surprise. Like 90% of the time, people don't know they have this policy or those exclusions or those limitations. So that's been a very, very common trend this year specifically. And it's going to be, I think, more common next year. I mean, you run into this too.
Absolutely. And one thing to stay away from, if you have a metal roof on maybe a pole barn or a metal roof on the home, and you have a policy and you don't even look, and sometimes they will renew it, but they will just put a few new words saying cosmetic exclusion. And that would pretty much mean the adjuster is going to come out. He's going to say, you have cosmetic exclusion. We're not going to pay you for any dings on your metals. So all your gutters, downspouts, they're all completely destroyed by hail. Everything is your pole barns. We've had some that have like 15 pole barns plus, and they would sometimes try to say, insurance would say like, hey, you have a cosmetic exclusion. We don't owe you for that because that's not structural damage. So you got to watch out for those, especially if you have anything metal on your house. The cosmetic exclusion kind of stops the insurance right there, and they're gonna say, nope, we don't owe you for that because that's not structural damage that's gonna cause more damage to your house. It's just dings. And some people are listening to that and they're like, oh yeah, so that's okay. I have no damage on the house. But if you technically would have had a different policy, you had a whole new exterior, all your metals, everything, and the roof would be changed. So that's something to watch out for in the language.
Wow, excellent. So it's like the new language of marring that they're adding.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody about what marring is, and then we'll circle back on that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot of language in the policies. I don't want to get, to be honest with you, I don't want to get too deep into the policy language, how they describe things. We just kind of leave it at the very top, just because of general contractors. We're not allowed to discuss policy and so on.
Got it.
So I would honestly refer back to the insurance agents. Find somebody you can trust. Like read the reviews online, confirm with them the coverages and all the details, like all the exclusions and everything else, and then just make sure that you have the proper coverage that you're paying for. A lot of the time, you may see like a decrease in the premium for, I don't know, maybe $100 a year. That will basically make the whole claim not worth it. It's gonna basically shut down the total amount of payout. Like you could switch from ACV to RCV policy, and you would be only paying maybe a couple $100 more. So the cost savings versus the benefit is not really there a lot of the time. So we just want to make sure that the people reach out to their agents or read through the policy. It's difficult document to read. It's not easy, but look through those and then confirm with the agent. See like, okay, these pages are referencing inclusion of this or an additional endorsement that I'm paying for, but then the following page is excluding this. So what am I actually paying for? So things like that are popping up a lot too. So there's a lot of going back and forth, but a lot of these things should be addressed by the homeowner, and the homeowner should be involved in the insurance work as well. There's a lot of the times where they're just kind of, okay, the contractor can't do this, they can't get me approved, so it's on the contractor. Not really, not all the time. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's lack of communication or delays and so on, but a lot of the time there's policy limitations or the insurance company is just not responding. So the homeowner does need to get involved a lot of the times, especially this year, and help us guide this claim in the right direction because it's in their best interest. They're getting it's their property, it's their policy, they're the insured, and they have to be the ones who talk to the insurance company to move things forward. We do our best to document and show the documentation, all the evidence, but at the same time, the homeowner does have to be involved.
And that mostly pertains to when the insurance tries to pay you for just a few planks of siding or a few shingles, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, you have to perform a repair in order. We just do for general matching." So it's like if it looks okay, it'll look okay. And us, we kind of point to that repair, the homeowner, and we say, "Would you be okay with that having two different colors type of siding or roofing?" And we kind of guide the homeowner saying that. No, we are supposed to be paid for pre-storm damage condition, and us having two different siding colors or types of siding just because the other one is discontinued is not okay. So the homeowner's involvement sometimes pushes that much further than the contractor just because they're not okay with what's being paid out by the insurance. But one word to watch out for in a policy for sure is matching. It's gonna cost maybe a few $100 extra more for the homeowner, but if they have a matching policy, that's gonna literally determine everything at the claim process, because they could either pay a few planks and say, hey, we don't pay for matching, we only pay for what's damaged. Or if they have a matching endorsement in their policy, they're gonna rewrap the whole house roof or the whole siding. So that word alone is the biggest factor of what the homeowner is gonna get covered.
Excellent. Well, I know there from my own personal experience that the right insurance agent in any form of insurance really makes a difference.
Huge.
And the company behind that insurance agent. So they might be a good guy or gal, but you know what if they work for this other company that I used to have? You know, they can't change it. It's their, I mean, they're a captive agent many times and they have to only sell that company. I work with a captive agent at a different company on my own policies, and he is phenomenal. And that's why I switched, because he actually took the time to go through my policies and compare and show me where I was not covered properly, and then wrote the right policy so I was. Matching, I think, is imperative. Replacement cost value, to the extent that it's allowed, I mean, it's that they can get it, that their agent isn't writing it out, they should get that, I think, 100%. They need to talk to their agent and know the difference of what it is, and it isn't just price. I've had sellers sometimes that have made a claim and have, you know, gone with the cheapest company, only to find out that, oh my God, I would love to get this new roof, but I don't want to write that check like you had mentioned. I thought I was covered. Well, you kind of were, but kind of not, because you didn't have matching, and you had actual cash value instead of replacement cost value. So know what you got. And again, maybe you just switched. Maybe you had a more expensive policy that premium went up. And so you're like, well, I'm going to go with somebody else. And you shopped. You can go back a year under your old, or more, under your old policy, which was superior, and then make that claim. There's apps now today that identify storms. So you don't have to remember when the storm was. You just have to have the contractor look for the damage, and then they can attribute the storm to, they'll find the storm. If you have the damage, they'll find the storm for it, that when it went through. So you don't have to remember as a homeowner or as a potential buyer. You don't have to say, well, I don't know if there was hail over here. Who
That's a very
cares?
important thing to bring up, actually, with the date of losses. That's one of the other big denials that we're seeing. A lot of the
Mhm.
times, like let's say the homeowner files a claim, they give them the date, and then for some reason, we had this a couple times this year, the insurance company's paperwork lists the date of loss from the last year. You know, like
Mm.
the date of loss is from outside of the replacement cost coverage, basically. So because it's over a year, at this point, they're not getting the depreciation anymore. And then we have to
Mm.
go back and then tell them, okay, no, this is what was actually called in. This is the actual report. But having evidence and having the reports to back up the claims, confirm the direction of the storm too. Like maybe but they will, like if it does go, if it's a difficult claim, they will bring out a structural engineer, and the engineer will be looking at all this stuff. They will be, if it's an appraisal, the whole panel will be reviewing all the documentation. They will be looking at the direction of the storm to make sure that everything lines up. Like let's say one side of the house is hit more than the other, where the roof slopes are more exposed, tree coverage and so on. All of this will be considered, and when you file a claim, it's very important to have that information kind of line up to get the whole picture come together properly. A lot of the time, it's just that it doesn't make sense, so we don't recommend filing. So yeah.
That's fantastic. So what I really like, about your folks is that you do a lot of research. You know what you're talking about. You're not a guy with nothing against the guy with the pickup truck, and whatever in the back, with the hammer in the back and does it all. the one-man show. You guys are an actual company with, you're licensed, you're bonded, you know what you're doing, you got the research, you walk through it, you go through the policies, you help the homeowner. And you've had to fight now, I believe, with sometimes when they've denied, there's a process. Can you explain? Let's say you say there's damage and it's very clear that there is, and the insurance company says, the adjuster says, no, there isn't. How do we overcome that? Can you explain that process?
The first step would be actually having a good contractor that knows what they're doing in this. That's the number one step. The homeowner, it's pretty much going to a dealership as a young lady, and the dealer is going to tell you, oh, you have these 1750 different things that needs to be changed on your car, or else you're not going to be able to drive out of this. And they don't know any better. So that's the thing with the homeowner. They can't be a professional contractor and fight on the way of the on behalf of themselves. So the insurance will kind of deny. When a professional contractor comes in, we evaluate, inspect the house, and we see so much damage from the roof down to the gutters, down to everything. What we do is we document, we take hundreds of pictures of everything. We come up with an estimate as a general contractor. This would cost to repair this much. And then we would work with the insurance company, send this information to the insurance, and we'll say, hey, you guys, this is the homeowner. They received so-and-so, but here's some of the damages that were missed. Here's all the documentation, pictures, and pretty much an estimate could be over 100 pages long with all the documentations and pictures. So they will open that up, say, oh, yeah, I guess there is much more damage than what we originally paid for. So we're going to schedule a re-inspection. We're going to have somebody out there again. Sometimes they don't even do it. They see the damage is so obvious that they don't even need to spend the time and money of sending another adjuster out there to review the damages. And they're like, okay, so yeah, we see this is damaged. This needs to be replaced. And then they pay the homeowner for the proper payment that they deserve, and the contractor would replace those things for them.
The more difficult claims, the insurance company may send out a structural engineer to inspect the house. And we've had instances where we have a structural engineer that we work with, and he does work for insurance companies and for contractors. He's basically like, if you needed some structural engineering done, like designs and whatever you need, drawings, he's the guy to go to. He's been awesome, but he's very fair. So if there's damage, he's going to find it. If there isn't damage, he's going to let you know. And I mean, the discrepancies or the contrast between the two reports from the insurance side and, let's say, this engineer's side, drastic. It's just crazy that somebody comes out and is completely oblivious to the damages, who is a structural engineer who's hired to look for that specific damage. And then we get somebody else out, and then they see this damage, and then the insurance company just says, well, we had our engineer come out, they don't agree with this. That's basically kind of our standpoint. At that point, like, the homeowner has to review the policy and read through the appraisal rights. Like, you do have rights to go to appraisal with the insurance company and get the proper valuation of your project, whatever's going on, the scope of work. And that basically means collecting all the documentation, sending it over to the insurance company, filling out a few forms. There's a sworn statement, proof of loss, and so on. There's like multiple documents that you have to go through, but it's a lengthy process. But it does, in the end, you do get the majority of the time, you do get the result that's determined by a neutral party. So an umpire and an appraiser from the homeowner side and the appraiser from the insurance side. And they kind of, it's kind of like an arbitration, like you were saying. And then at that point, you get like a fair assessment. And a lot of the times the insurance companies will settle before that too. So it's an additional step, but it's lengthy, but it seems like that's the way a lot of insurance companies are kind of leaning towards now.
So if somebody feels they've been unfairly treated, every other home on the street has a new roof, but somehow the hail missed their house.
Yep.
Even though everybody else got a new roof, there's probably an appeal process. Certainly if there's damage, you'll find it. They'll go through it. If they say no, then no doesn't mean no. It might mean that we need to do some more investigation or filling out some forms. And I know that's what happened on my old home. Again, this is my third home, but my second home, they said no, and I'm like, no way. Everybody got a new roof. I'm getting a new roof, and we did. So, but I had to go through that process. So what's it worth to you to get a brand new roof? It's worth it. I mean, in my opinion, it's worth the extra hassle as a homeowner. If you're told no, if you believe, and if you can be, if it's proven that you have the damage, yeah, that's what you're paying your insurance for. You're not doing anything wrong. It's an act of God, and you're entitled to what you've been paying your premiums for. So make the claim, is my opinion.
And one good
So,
thing, sorry, John, one
no, go
good
ahead.
thing about having a new roof, whether it's for new buyers while the sellers put a new roof before they sell, or just in general, you having a new roof, is that you call it your insurance company, or you even shop around for insurance companies and you tell them that you have a brand new roof on your house. Your liability goes and risk goes so much down that you're supposed to get a really, really solid deal on insurance premiums when you have a new roof, comparing to an old roof that there's so much risk that the homeowner carries that they pay much higher premiums for that older roof. So
That's a
that's
great point. And because they do ask the age of the mechanicals, they want to know the age of the electrical box, the age of different things. So you're right. Thank you for sharing that, bringing that up.
That's a good point. And then another thing that we've run into this year is we had a really big storm in Minneapolis. One of our clients, he called us back. It's right on Third Avenue in Minneapolis, and they had 2.5, 3-inch hailstones, just destroyed it. We did it 2 years ago, and you could see hail impact. It went right through the ridge cap on
Wow.
a few spots. Yeah, really big stones. So in that case, the homeowner was like, "Well, am I gonna have to, like, if we get another storm, I'm gonna have to file claims every year?" It just, it adds up. It's deductibles, and then it's all the hassle of dealing with the project, multiple trades, and so on. So this time, we went with the Malarkey product on his house, which is a high impact resistant shingle. So it's a class 4 impact resistance, and then that will offer him better protection. There's also a decrease in premiums, like Vadim was saying, for the newer roofs. In this case, because it's high impact resistant, there's less risk of storm damage claims and so on. So the insurance companies, it depends on the insurance company, but a lot of them are offering discounts from like 5 to even 25% on the premium. So this would be a good option to go towards. It's a bit of an upcharge, but it's definitely worth it if you don't want to file claims again.
Interesting. I wasn't aware that you could do that. Well, that's great. So you have access to all products. You don't
Yep.
just sell one type of roof, you sell any type of roof they want.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then with regards to a claim, let's just walk through really quick on what a claim would look like. So, okay, the insurance company says, great, we'll do a roof. What's the next step on getting checks, money, ordering material, and then closing it out? Kind of just walk me through. I'm eligible for a new roof. Now what?
So it depends. If there's like if you receive the payment from the insurance company, if there's a mortgage company on it, most likely gonna have to send it to the bank for the endorsement to make sure everything is clear. The contractor may have to submit documentation, W-2, insurance, license, that kind of stuff to the mortgage company to make sure that everything comes out, on paperwork, everything goes through and gets processed properly. As far as the deposits go, I'd be very careful and I would do research on the contractor. A lot of the clients this year, we had to take over projects because the contractor collected the deposit early in the year, and then it's October or September, and none of the work that was promised to be completed has been started or even scheduled. And this constant delays and trying to get the money back and becomes such a big issue. And then you find out that if you just go on their website or their Google page or something, you read the reviews, a lot of clients are having the same issues. So do your due diligence, look around, make sure that like that kind of deposit. If you give the deposit, make sure the work is going to get done in a timely manner. There are delays, weather delays. We run into this a lot too. We've had projects that were delayed for almost a month just because of how difficult the project was. It was a steep one. It was towards the end of the year. The weather wasn't lining up. We needed the temperatures to be, in a certain range. We had to wait. And I mean, at the end, we got it done, but it took a little longer. So in those scenarios, materials on the ground, the crews are ready to go. We're just kind of waiting for the ideal conditions. That's a little different. Some of the other companies are collecting deposits and then you never hear from them again. You try to get a hold of them and then you get nothing. So I would be very careful about the deposits and then make sure that you do your research on the back end. Another thing to bring up is what was I going to say? With the insurance payments in general, if a contractor has completed majority of the work, the homeowner sometimes they hold payments for minor things. They don't release to the contractor, which means the contractor is basically holding on financing the whole job. We've had a few claims like this where it's a few window screens or flashing issues or like little things that need to be taken care of, but the homeowner doesn't want to give the full amount to the contractor until the whole thing is completed. It's like, okay, well, this is going to take maybe a week or 2 weeks to get somebody out to get this wrapped up, but you're holding on the whole thing. For contractors, it's dangerous for small businesses, especially because you have to finance the project from, let's say, the insurance company's approval through all the way until you get the final payment from the homeowner. And a lot of the time, deposits don't cover the costs at all, not even close. So we have to finance and basically, be financial institution or bank in this point, and then use our own money to kind of finance the projects and then fund them until we get paid at the end. So a lot of projects this year, especially the initial checks from the insurance companies, are a fraction of the total payout because of depreciation. So you're maybe getting $3,000 down, but the roof is going to be $30,000. So you have to make that work somehow, and then stay on the insurance company because there's a lot of delays with them too. And you're waiting for months and months to get the final payment. So we really have to budget. This year we learned how to budget properly, just because of all those issues that came up and all the delays.
Wow. I didn't realize that there was that much of a spread between what you were initially receiving to what you were finished at the end.
Very,
Yeah,
very. Yeah.
that could be a limiter. I mean, that's because that's a lot of cash that's tied up to you waiting for it to be refunded to you.
Absolutely.
And when you're doing 10, 20 plus jobs at a time, that
Right.
racks up quick.
Yeah.
It adds up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's really interesting. Anything else that people should know about roofs that you want to share today, or about the process, about anything that we want to talk about yet?
I mean, we covered the majority of it. We should do another call, just kind of go over additional things, maybe material selections and so on. Do like a separate video call. This one was mostly, kind of a public service announcement for the insurance, kind of concerns that we're running into. Get
Sure.
that out of the new year, so people, if they're renewing policies or looking at, different, insurance companies, they have that information. So, yeah, we'll leave that as the main focus for this one, I guess.
Okay, perfect. Well, I want to mention a couple other things really quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So, if I make a claim, like right now, we have a very unusual weather. We actually have, 30 degrees, but we had 50 degrees the other day in December. This is
Yeah.
past Christmas. And this is, of course, a very weird winter. But if I make a claim today, let's say I get approved today, well, snow is probably imminent in the next 30 days. Obviously, you can't roof at 20 below. So how does that work? Can I make my claim while it's perfect outside to make the claim, and then have the work done in the spring? Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As long as the limitation is not there, like you're not waiting until, let's say, the storm happened in March and then you're waiting until like March 29th to start the project. We usually don't like to be that close. We want to make sure that the project is invoiced and completed by the deadline that the insurance company sets. But generally, that's not a problem. If the roof got approved this year, we have no problem doing it in the spring. That's actually preferred. Just, the guys are working all season. The guys get tired towards the end of the season. We want to make sure that the crews are, get their rest in, get a good break, and then go on vacation, see their families and so on, and then, come back healthy and strong.
Sounds good.
This year it seems like it's getting delayed, that whole vacation time, because we're having 50s. We're still roofing and it's December. So yeah, not a usual year, but we will make it work. Whatever is the best, I guess, best quality installation. That's what we're gonna try to do. Yeah.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, if they wanted to reach you, Artem, how could people? And I'm going to put this in the body of the email, or of the video down below. I'm going to list all of your contact. But if they're just watching it and they've got a pen and they've been taking notes, what's the best way to reach you?
So it could be email. Our email is info@foremostexteriors.com. It could be the phone number, the office phone number. It's 952-495-5545. If you just look up Foremost Exteriors on Google, we should be popping right up. Like, you'll see us there. You can message through the website, whatever is easier. That's that's a very easy way to get a hold of us. You can go on Instagram, take a look at our recent project photos. We haven't updated in a while, but you can see the work in progress and so on, before and afters, and yeah, it's a good page. Also, our Google page has a lot of photos of projects going on, like all the recent ones, I guess, more recent ones that they could look at for kind of a better assessment of the company, and read the reviews too. We have a lot of reviews on there.
That's fantastic. I think that's one of the strongest takeaways is you want to work with somebody that you trust, somebody that has strong reviews. Reviews aren't free. You can't buy my review. It's, I mean, it's because of the quality of work. That's why you get the reviews that you get in your reputation, and you protect that, vigorously, because that's, what you value most at the end of the day. So they can look you up, check you out. There's no complaints. Everything's good. So anyway, I've seen their work personally, and it's very good. And that's why they're on this video. I think you'll be very happy if you give them a call. I know clients that have used them and have been very satisfied. So with that, I'm going to wish everybody a happy new year, and thank you for coming onto the channel. And I look forward to to doing our next video. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Thank you, John. Take
Thanks,
care.
John.